Faber-Castell drawing workshop, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to be sharing how I use the Goldfaber Dual Aqua Markers. I'm going to be showing you how I use these markers, combine them with watercolour and watercolour pencil, and we're going to be sketching one of my favourite subjects, a teacup. Just before I start, I might just do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm here today with Matt, who's a videographer, doing all of the crazy work behind the scenes to get this up and running. So say hello, Matt.
Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's excited for the live stream. Back to you, Liz.
And I'm also here with Sarah from Faber-Castell, who's going to answer all of those Faber-Castell questions.
Hello, everyone. Can't wait to get into it. Get your markers ready.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm breaking this live stream into 4 different modules. We're going to be looking at materials first, and then I'm going to do step by step as we sketch a teacup. Each section, I'll have a chance for you to ask questions, but you can ask questions at any time in the live stream, in the chat. I will also encourage you to work along if you have markers and pencils and paint with you. And if you'd like to, you could share your sketches, your progress work in the discussion thread, or share it on social media afterwards, tagging Faber-Castell Australia. So we're here in Australia at the moment. So let's get going. Always a bit to get sorted when we got a brand new live stream and technical problems. So what I'm going to be doing, as I said, is I'm going to be showing you how I use these markers, which I absolutely adore. I've been using these for nearly 12 months now and find all kinds of fun ways of using them in my own sketching. And we're going to be sketching using a teacup as a subject matter. And I've just got a couple of examples here just to show you so you've got an idea of how I use these markers. So I like using them and combining them with watercolour. The reason is because I can draw with coloured lines. I can also use pastel colours, which are a little bit harder in watercolour. They're also really fantastic to use when I've got super complicated patterns. So teacups and teapots can have very, very complex patterns with lots and lots of colours. And so using the markers enables me to be able to put them down quickly and loosely, which is my style. And I also love combining these markers because they are dye-based, and so they behave in a different way with the watercolour. So I get lots of interesting effects as I work through and combine the two. And I can also do all kinds of fun colours, layering colours in unique ways and taking lots of risks, which I really like. So what we're going to first do is talk about the materials that I've got for the workshop today. So what I have here is the Goldfaber Aqua Dual Markers. So this is a 24 set. This is the box that they come in. And these are markers with 2 tips, which I'll get to in a moment. I'm also going to be combining them with watercolour, and today I'm actually using the Goldfaber Creative Studio watercolour. So they're different from what I'm used to using, but I will show you how to get the best possible results with this watercolour. And I've also got some watercolour pencils here. So this is also part of this Creative Studio range. This is the hobby range of Faber-Castell, and these are really great, reliable and affordable watercolour pencils. So I've got them here. We'll see how we go, how much we use them. So if you have these markers and this set, you'll be able to follow along and use exact colours. If not, just use what you've got and see if you can use the techniques. Okay, so let me get going. How we're all in the screen, everything going okay, Matt?
Yeah, everything is great, Liz.
Okay, good. Okay, so these markers have 2 tips. They have a brush tip, which is the side I use most of all, and they also have a really nice fine tip as well. And so we're just going to do a couple of quick marks just to see what we can do with this marker to start with. So we can draw some fine lines with the tip. We can change our pressure and do curved lines, and as we do that, we will get different thickness. And then we can also use the marker on the side, which is the way I use it a lot, because particularly when I'm urban sketching, I like filling in big shapes with these markers. So I'm turning it down on an angle and doing side strokes and filling in a big shape like that. And I can also fill in a shape by doing backwards and forwards like this with them. So I use the markers a lot. I use the brush tip a lot most of the time, but I use it a lot for filling in big shapes. If I need to do fine lines, then I come and use this fine tip in order to preserve the point on the brush tip. So that's the kind of just general marks. You can do all kinds of interesting things. You can do like leaf shapes as well with bending the tips if you want, but I basically just use these. And then we can add water to it. So I am using a round brush today, and we can come and we can put water on the side and soften these edges. So this is why I like these. These are water soluble and they're fantastic for getting the different, you can use them dry or wet. And each one of all of these colours have different strengths in terms of the dye load. So if I do a couple of strokes, I'm just going to come and pick a few colours. So I'm going to pick some of the blues. We've got a blue theme today. I'm going to just do 2 strokes. Each of these blue ones, this one going along here. I might also use, it doesn't matter which colours, I'm just doing a couple of tests. So it's really important when you're using a new tool to do some tests first and to work out how these things will react. I might use this one. This is the magenta bright as well, and a black. So I'm just putting a couple strokes of a couple of colours down so you can see that I'm using the brush tip mainly on the side, and then I'm going to come and, with quite a lot of water, come and just put some water down the side. And when I did this one, we can see that it didn't move very much. It softened that, but we're going to get quite a different reaction when I do this. When I do this, we can see that the colour is taking over. It's a very strong colour and it's going into the water. And then I'm just going to come and add, so this is quite a lot of water, but you can see that some of the colours are going to explode. This magenta will explode too. You can see as I'm working, some of the colours really move into the water, others don't move much. So if I don't want the colours to explode, I've got to be very careful, and you can see over here that I'm blotting my brush quite a lot. So it's damp, but not too much water, and so that's too much water. So I come and I just lightly, with a damp brush, come and soften the edges. So this test is already telling me that these colours, some of them are really strong, some of them, I've got to be very careful of how much water I put on because they'll just explode and go all over the place, and other ones of them will just soften the edge. The other thing too that we can do with these markers, so this is one of my favourite colours, this one is the sand, so I'll just write, it's 281. So this is the 281 in the Goldfaber. So this is, I use this one a lot. So if I just come and put this here, you can actually layer them and create a darker colour. So even though these are quite dry, they'll still be a little wet. So sometimes if you want to layer, you've just got to leave it a little bit until it dries. If I put the back of my finger there, so I can see I am coming and putting a second layer over here, and that's getting it darker. And then once that's dried a bit, I can come and put a third layer on as well. So how's it going in the chat? Any questions? How's everything going, Matt?
It's going great. So Trudy asked, where do you get the pens from?
So the pens are being released in Australia in a lot of the art stores. Sarah, can you give me any more information on that?
Absolutely. It depends on your location, but your typical store like Eckersley's would have it, for example, but also your local art stores would be stocking it. If they don't have it already, they would be having it over the next few weeks. If you can't find it or if you're unsure, depending on where you are, feel free to shoot us a message and we'll help you based on your location.
Okay, any other questions at this stage?
No, that's it for now. I think people are just busy following along with the basic techniques, Liz.
Okay, good. Okay, so that was strategic pause to wait for this to dry, so it's good. Okay, so you can see that I can layer it on. If you rush too quickly, it sometimes can disturb the surface of the paper. Now we're going to do some watercolour now. So we really have to spend quite a bit of time getting to know our materials, which is really fun. But you know, when you get something brand new, you've always got to have that experimentation stage. So these watercolour. Now, am I on screen there, Matt?
You sure are.
Okay, good. So it's good having someone worrying about the technical side today. Okay, so these are the Goldfaber watercolour Creative Studio. It's 24 set. And I am going to, there are 3 colours in here that I like using. So this one here, and when the trick for these type of watercolour, this hobby range of watercolour, is to really spend a lot of time picking up as much pigment as you can. So you can see this one here, this colour here is 120. That's the number on the back of the box. This is a lovely colour. So you can see I'm doing a lot of work, picking up a lot of paint. I'm going to put it down. And we've got lovely, lovely rich colour there. And I also like this one here. So this one here is 190. Let me write that down so that you know which colours I'm using. This is 190. This is 120. So this is French ultramarine, burnt sienna. And if you mix them together, you'll get a nice grey. And then this one here is like a yellow ochre. So this one here is the 183. So I would normally mix these 2 colours together to get a grey, but in my tests I actually discovered that 183 and 120 together make a nice grey. So I'm going to mix that now so you can see how much I'm picking up. And I'm using a round brush. If you're wondering, it is a size 8. I like using a bigger brush possible. So I'm going to mix this together and see what I get in terms of a nice grey. So you're wondering, why is she just going from bright colours to grey? We'll work that out when we get to the teacup. Okay, so lots and lots. Let's put this down in there, and that's a lovely grey. Now what we can also do, and this is what I love doing with these markers, is that we can put colours under our watercolour, which is what we're going to be doing when we start the teacup. And I like doing this a lot with the pastel colour. So this one is apricot, which is the 161. So this is like the sand, but it's lighter. So this is 116 with the marker. And then I'm going to come and put that grey wash over the top. And what we'll see is we'll see this lovely glowing colour coming through the grey. So those of you who have done some of my own work, my own online courses, know that I like mixing kind of a warm grey. This is the way that I do it using these products. So this is just general getting to know the materials. We can use the brush tip on the side to cover big areas. We can use the fine point for fine lines. When we add water, we've got to be careful how much water we use and get to know which colours are going to be really strong and take over. See, look how that magenta has really filled the whole area of the water, while the sand and the light blue haven't really moved very much. We can also layer, and we have to wait for things to dry before then. And then when it comes to watercolour, we're going to be putting watercolour over the markers as we get onto doing the teacup pattern, which we'll do now. So any questions there before I move on?
Yes, so are the colours light fast?
No, they're dye based, so they're not light fast. But I do most of my work inside a sketchbook, so that's not so much of an issue.
If you do want light fast colours like heavy pigmented ink, you could look at our artist range compared to our hobby range. So obviously that depends a little bit on what you're willing to spend on your artist tools, but there's definitely an option there for those that really want their artworks to last for the next 200 years. That's an option too.
And they're the Albert Dürer markers, aren't they? The ones.
Correct.
Yes. So I actually love the dye-based. I love this reaction between them. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start to, I'll just show you what we're going to do. It's going to start and play with how we mix these markers, the watercolour and some watercolour pencils, and do some of the flower pattern as well.
So Liz, I'll just jump in here as well. So we've got 2 more quick questions. So Susan would like to know, are the pens non-toxic? That might be a Sarah question.
They are non-toxic, absolutely. Our range is non-toxic.
Yeah, fantastic. And then lastly, Maria is loving the stream so far, and she said it looks unreal, but life has thrown her a curveball. So she wants to know, can she watch it later?
Yes. I got the thumbs up from Sarah, so yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Maria.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so now what are we going to do? We're going to do, and because I don't know if you noticed it in the previous page, I'm left-handed, so I will always work from the right side across to the left, okay? So I hope you can cope with that. So what I'm going to use, I love this particular marker. So this is the water blue 164. So the blues in the 24 set are much brighter than my teacup. That's okay. I like playing with colours, making them brighter. So this one then is Azure Blue. Sorry, I can't speak properly when I'm sketching. 449. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a quick rose shape. Now, this particular pattern is quite difficult. What I'm going to do is simplify it to just do a series of the roses. I'm not going to do all the fine detail. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to come and do some strokes. So this is a good way of getting to know how to do this. So I'm not trying to make a beautiful rose. We're just doing a test to see how these markers work together. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come and this is one I tested. Yes, this is one I tested here. So I knew from this that it's going to kind of take over. So maybe I will do just a few fine lines.
Liz, you're not alone either, because Marilyn also said she's left-handed too. So.
Okay, good. We got some lefties. Okay.
No problem, she said.
Okay, that's good. You understand me. You lefties understand the way that I work. So I'm going to, well, this is a test. So I want to see how much that amount of marker, whether this will take over. So this side of the rose shape has got the thicker strokes. This one's got the finer strokes. And then I might just do a leaf in this colour. So I'm picking I've chosen the lightest 2 blues in the set. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to put water over this. So this one is just with water. And this is where the fun stuff happens. I've got no idea. This is what I love, using materials that are slightly, let's say I don't quite know what's going to happen. That's what makes art fun, okay? So today, this workshop, we're not trying to create these amazing award-winning sketches. We're just trying to have fun, get to know these new materials. And I have this term as well, that's infamous quote of mine, which is embrace the wonkiness. So we don't worry too much. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing is I'm picking up water, but I keep adjusting the amount of water. So to see what happens if I come and I'm not putting a lot of water. I'm very strategically putting some water on that, and see what happens with these. See whether that kind of takes over or not. So this is an important thing of when you use these markers, and also watercolour, just as a general principle, is don't fiddle, put it down, then just leave it. So we can see it's going to do its own thing while I go on to the next one. So what am I going to do for the next one? Okay, so the next one, so many options for mixing material. So the next one, I'm going to do the same thing with the 164. Like this. I'm not even looking at I'm just doing a couple of strokes. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come and put some of this darker with the 449 across there. Then I'm going to come and put some watercolour over the top. So this is the 164, the 449. Got to always write down what you do, or else you can't work it out afterwards. And then I think I'm going to use this colour, in between colour. Look, so many options. I could use a dark blue too, but we'll do this one. So this is, I'll put a W here so we know this is a watercolour number. This is 145 colour. Let me just double check that I've got that right. That's 145. Okay, so here we go. This is when the fun happens, because what I'm doing is you can see that when I put the water on, you can see how the edges are softening and I'm losing a bit of definition. So what will happen if I come and put the watercolour over the top? So this is just another way of doing this.
You can really start to see it come to life there, Liz.
Cool. Yes, it is. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how this behaves differently to that. So my preference is always to add watercolours. So even when I use watercolour pencil, that's also what I do. And then actually I didn't do a leaf. So if I wanted to make my leaf darker, why don't I try and put some black? So this then now is putting a bit of black. Black is 199. I know that number already off by heart. One of the cool things about Faber-Castell products is across the range, they have the same numbering system and name. So I get to know some of these numbers. So I'm just going to come and put a little bit of black. So we knew that the black was pretty aggressive previously. I'm going to come and add a little bit of water to that, and that will then give me this kind of dark blue in the cup. Okay, now one more. So I just keep going. There's so many options. Okay, so next one. What am I going to do next one? Start with that again. Start doing the same thing. And you'll notice my rose shape will get looser and looser as I go along, but that's okay. We're just really focusing on how different things work. And that was 164. This time I'm going to put watercolour pencil. So if you find that when you start working with the markers, they're a little bit out of control, you could always put watercolour pencils over the top. Now this is something you've got to wait for that to dry a little bit. So any questions while I'm waiting, Matt?
Not so much questions, just actually a few people. So Linda Marie said that she's been a long-time fan of you, Liz. And she used to be on the Faber-Castell design team, but then life took her away from her craft table. But she said the stream's really inspiring her to get started again. So
okay,
that's
fantastic.
nice to hear. And then Rosalind said that she is enjoying it so far, but have to travel. So hopefully she can catch up on the stream later in the day.
Absolutely. Okay, good. Now that's given me time. So if you press down with the back of your hand, you can tell whether the paper temperature is cool. That means it's still wet, even though it's cold here today. But anyway, okay, here we go. So this is then, if I'm going to come and put some watercolour pencils, I can also do the same idea. Let's just see. I'm just experimenting. So we can't do the teacup pattern without doing the experiment first. So this is what I call a pattern study. And, you know, I actually have an online course just about teacups. This is one of the aspects. As you can see, I'm actually pressing quite hard with this watercolour pencil, so much I'm breaking the lead as I'm working.
Getting too excited there, Liz.
I know. I get very excited when I start sketching. And what number was that? That was 143. Okay. I have no idea whether that was the right colour or not, but that's fine. So that's 143 with that's a pencil, so 143. And we're now going to, am I going to put paint over the top? Yes, I think I will. Actually, what am I going to do? A leaf. Maybe I'll do the leaf in that. And then I'll come and I'll use 145 again. W145. So you can see you could spend all day trying different options, trying different colours, trying watercolour, watercolour or just water. You can see why when you start mixing media, there's just so many exciting options, and I hope that this is getting you inspired to do a whole lot of experiments. So you can see these watercolour pencils don't move as much, so they're much more controllable can see that that's, I've got to put paint down there so we've got a record of that. So this is a more controllable way, and if you're used to drawing, you might find this easier. You can see the difference between just using the markers and just using the watercolour, how when I just used water, added water to the markers, I lost some of those edges. I was able to control it more with the watercolour, but I've been using the same techniques all the way along. You can also do fun things. I'll just show you this. You can do fun things by changing the colour underneath. So, well, just quickly, I could actually put yellow under pink, whatever you feel like, right? And that will give me an interesting combination. I can put purple over the blue, so I can put the blue and then I can come and put the purple over. And this will just give me even more interesting techniques. And that's what I like doing with these markers, is putting soft colour under other colours. So just to show you that you can get all these interesting colour combinations by layering them. But I think we need to get onto the teacup sketch now. But is there any more questions before I move on? Are you all getting excited by how much we can play with these different tools and create lots of fun textures?
There's quite a few people chiming in saying that it's really great and it's inspired them to pick up their pencils and watercolours again. So I think people are definitely following along and being inspired, Liz. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go. And both of those, so I've got 3 books here. In this cold, got to wait for the paint to dry. Okay, so we are now going to start sketching this teacup. So there is a PDF file, isn't there, that was with the handout. There's 2 versions of the teacup. I'm going to be drawing this one. So normally when I drink my tea, I will have my tea here and I'll have my sketchbook here. And so I'm drinking while I'm working. This is going to be cold today, so anyway, I'm not going to be drinking. And so I often draw a teacup from a fairly top-down view, which is what this photo represents. There's also another alternative view, which I've got down here somewhere, which is when it's further away. I find that a bit awkward when I'm drinking. This is a more difficult view. I've included that as well. I believe that's available as well in the stream somewhere. Yep. Is it? So that should be on in the event. You should be able to grab those 2 handouts.
One of these handouts is already linked in the event.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so hopefully you'll be able to find them. I'm just doing the sketching here today, but you can see. So I'm going to use this view, but the interesting thing about this particular view when I took the photos, you can't see the gold foot. So what I'm just going to do is going to put a little bit of gold there. I'm going to pretend I can see a little bit of the foot, which you can see in the second version.
Do you want to hold up your reference teacup you've got there, Liz, just so we can see the gold foot?
Okay, so here we go. So do you want me to? Okay, so this is the cup. It's got tea in it. I've got to be careful. So it's got. Okay, so I want to say it's got a gold rim on it. The rim is actually on the side of the cup. I'm going to pretend that the gold is on the top, which you'll see. You can't see the gold edge in the photo, but I'm going to draw it as if the gold went up on the edge. And then there's a saucer, which has a gold rim as well. Okay?
Awesome.
Good, and I haven't spilt anything, so that's doing well. Okay, so we're going to draw, I'm going to be drawing the teacup in pencil first. Let me just see what we're going to be doing 4 steps. So break it down, we're going to draw the teacup. We're then going to add the gold edging and the shadow. We're then going to add the pattern marker so you can see all of those markups that we're doing. And then we're going to add watercolour over the top. So, what am I? It's on this pile. I have piles of paper. Let me just get this, and I've already got paint there because that's wet. Okay, so when we do a teacup, I'm just going to do very quickly. Teacups are actually quite tricky to draw. You think it's just a cup and a saucer, but they're quite tricky. But I'm just going to break it down and I will use this marker. So when we're looking at a teacup, what we're seeing is a series of ellipses. So we have circles that are in perspective, so they're not quite circles. So we have a circle for the rim of the cup. We also have the foot, which we can't see, but what we can see in this photo is we can actually see the gold edge. So that's another circle, and we also have a circle of the saucer. And all of these are all aligned vertically, so they're kind of like concentric. So it looks a bit weird now when I've overlaid. But that's actually what we want to draw first. And what we're doing when we draw a circle, like the way I like to draw a circle is I like to think about a box, and then I draw it in terms of 4 arcs. So when we have an ellipse, what an ellipse is actually a squashed circle. So it's a little bit shaped like this. So I like drawing the vertical height and then the width, and then I'll come and draw a shape going around that. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do this in pencil. And I like drawing from life, but just to make it easy so you know exactly what I'm drawing, I'm going to be drawing from the photo today. And I have a pencil. This is actually a Goldfaber pencil. It doesn't matter. I'm using a B just so that, and I'm going to be pressing harder so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to draw a vertical line first of all. And to draw that vertical line, what I'm doing is I'm actually holding my hand on the side of the book and running my hand down the side and hoping that I don't get a paper cut. But anyway, so that's my vertical line. Then I'm just going to have a feel for, we're not worrying too much. I'm not going to make this perfect, okay? We're embracing the wonkiness. I'm just going to go, okay, so how high is it versus how wide it is? It's a little bit higher than wider. So I'm coming in here, I'm drawing the height, and then I'm going to draw a line across here, and it's a little bit wider. That's good enough. And then I'm going to come and draw an ellipse. So this is when sometimes I need to rotate my book. And we say, remember, embrace the wonkiness. Okay, so that's our cup rim, the shape. Then I can see it's not quite perfect, but that'll do. I'm just going to draw the T shape inside. Then I'm going to draw what I call the side of the cup. So what's interesting, let me get another version that I can deface, is the fact that the cup, the circle is coming around here. This is the rim. And then the cup is coming and it's like this. And it's not very deep. So it's like here and it's coming somewhere like there and there. I'm going to draw this. And then I said there's a foot. So the foot's not in the photo. I'm making it up. That's fine. Okay. Then I'm going to draw the saucer. So the saucer, so what I like to do, I'm working very, very quickly here at the moment, just to give you an idea. You can draw this cup any way you like. You can just go for it. And as I said, ellipses are always wonky. So just do it. So what I like to do is I like to think about where does this hit this connection point and come down. How far down is it coming from there? And it's also another circle, so it's coming down here somewhere, it's coming off this point and it's going out here somewhere, okay? So this is the technical side of this workshop, okay? And it doesn't, I'm just doing this for those of you wondering how I do it, so this is something like that. I can't see it properly, but anyway, that will do. And then I come and just draw the handle, okay? This is it, everyone always worries about the handle. I'm not going to go into it, but I draw this face of the handle first, so I draw that shape. Then I come and fill it in from then. Okay, so now I have my teacup drawn. So how are we going for questions and craziness? Could everyone follow that? I did that really quickly then, I know.
I think everyone's following along. There's a few people saying that drawing circles or ellipses are their nemesis or they're quite hard. So there was a few people saying that it was a really good way that you kind of demonstrated how you would split it up and break it into sections. So that was quite interesting. But yeah, I think so far it seems that everyone's following along.
Yep, so I like drawing that. So, yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people said do this, but you can do that and you can get all kinds of shapes. So I like thinking quite technically about it. But
I think the more you draw them as well, the easier they become.
Exactly.
So how many do you reckon you've drawn over the years?
I've just finished putting together a teacups course, and I did an image bank of all my sketches, and there was over 1,500.
So
and that's not all the coffee
versed
cups.
with your
okay,
ellipses.
but I still can't draw them perfectly. Okay, there is some story about who's a famous artist that someone said, I want you to draw an angel, and he said, no, I'm going to draw a circle, a perfect circle instead, and that was a sign of greater skill. Okay, so someone in the chat might know who that story is. Okay, so now we've got to get back to these markers, don't we? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to erase most of this pencil line. Okay, so I'm going to just come through and just try and lighten this, so it's still going to be there. The ones I'm mainly going to erase are this vertical line through here. So I'm just taking that off just so I can see where it is. Okay, I'm just getting rid of that. Now I'm going to pick up the light yellow ochre 183. So this is close to the gold. So this is 183 down the side. And as I said, this is when I cheat a little bit, because the gold edge, you can't see the gold edge, but trust me, there's a gold edge there. And actually I might rub out a little bit more. I don't care seeing the pencil lines, but some of you might. And I also drew this much harder than I normally would, just so that you could see it. Okay, so I'm now going to come through, and this is where the real cup and the lighting on the real cup. Anyway, Matt has all these amazing lights so that everything is bright, but it's not very good for my subject. So I'm going to come and I'm just going to do some broken lines through here, around here, and I'm using the fine point, and also through here. So there's some light bits on the, it's hard to see in the photo, okay. But there's some light bits through here, through here. This is where, remember, we embrace the wonkiness, and a little bit through there. And then I'm going to switch to the brush pen for this side. And I'm just going to come and put a little bit through here. So we have just moved from drawing the teacup to now the gold edging and the shadows. This is once I start sketching. I had all these broken down modules, and it's just all merging together now. I get excited.
Organised chaos, Liz.
Yeah, exactly. I know what I'm doing. It's one of those things. And so now, sorry, that's it. I'm jumping ahead. I'm thinking this now is the burnt sienna. So this is 283. So this is the dark reflections. So I'm just coming and putting a couple of strokes in there. We didn't test this colour, did we? But I can tell you, I think this is one of the colours that goes quite. Through there, something like that. That'll do. That'll start. Okay.
So where do you know to add your burnt sienna in over the top of what you've already drawn there?
So I'm looking for the dark areas, and so the reflections. A little bit hard to see in this photo. You might see it actually in this photo as well. You can see there's some light bits and some dark bits. So I'm coming in, I'm adding, this is where I'm looking at the actual cup, not the photo. That's why it's hard. It's always better to sketch from life rather than photo. It's hard to get a photo that captures exactly what you want. So that's just coming and putting a little bit. The main thing is just to do some variation, just not all do gold or all do dark, just mix it up a little bit. And I want to get back to my steps, so I'm following the plan a little bit more. So this is what we did. Oh, I haven't drawn the roses yet. So what we're doing at the moment, you can see this is my practice run, exactly same technique. I'm going to add the shadow and the T-shape. Actually, I'm going to add the T-shape. So I don't call it T, I call it a shape. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to add the sand. So sand, as I said, this is one of my favourite colours. So this is 281, and depending on the strength of your tea, depends on how many layers. So I'm going to come and fill this in. So you can see I'm using the side of the brush, fill in that big shape, and then I wait a little bit and come and put the next layer. Any questions?
We do actually. So Linda Marie would like to know, what books do you recommend for decent paper to do this kind of work? Paper makes such a difference.
It totally does. I use, this book is the Stillman and Byrne Alpha book, which is what I use for my everyday sketching, and this works, these markers work really great on that. It's the paper is thin enough that it's not too precious, but remarkably durable for adding quite a lot of water. So that's my favourite pick. But like a lot of things, you know, you have personal preferences, so it's a matter of you trying, hearing about a few books, trying them and seeing what works for you. Okay, any other questions while I add a second layer on here?
Yep. So I actually have a question. Why teacups, Liz?
Why teacups? Oh no, how long can this screen be going? Okay, so teacups, there is a long story behind it. It's got to do with my great aunt Ruby and a cup that she left me. But it's just something that it's a way I can have a pause in the middle of the day, because I'm always drinking the teacup at the same time. So it's not a still life, it's just me having a pause. There's so many amazing shapes and patterns. They're tricky enough that I never feel like I completely master them, but they get me to use pink and colours that I wouldn't normally use. It's just a thing of beauty. How's that for a quick answer? Okay, so we've got the T shape and there's a little, so this is 2 layers. I'm going to come and put a 3rd layer on that. Now I'm going to, when I did this test, I just used grey, but today I'm going to change, I'm going to do 2 different colours, marker colours. So I'm actually going to put the apricot. So this now is the apricot. So this is the 116. So some of the shadows on the cup are darker than the others. So this one here, the inside of the cup and the side of the cup are a slightly lighter shadow. So they're going to have some warm reflected lights. So I'm actually going to put the apricot in there. And then I'm going to come and put the grey. Is that the grey I used? Yes, I think it is. Okay. So this is the titanium violet light. How's that for a fancy name? 277. And I'm going to come and put that through here. I might put a little bit on the T shape as well through here. So this, a little bit funny, doesn't it? But this is where we just keep working. The beauty about teacups is that no matter how wonky your ellipses are, when you add the pattern, they'll just come to life. So it's this combination of the pattern and the shape and the gold edging that just makes like it doesn't matter how good or bad I don't like using that word, but like how successful a step is, you just keep going and you always end up with a delightful sketch at the end. Okay, so that is the next step. So we've drawn the teacup, we erased the lights and we came and put some gold edging on, some dark highlights, dark reflections, and left some highlights. We added T-shape 2 layers, and now I've come and put some shadow areas on in the markers, and we're about to start to put the flowers on now. So this is the next step that we're about to go to. So any other questions before we get there?
No, I think people's heads are down and they are madly sketching. Okay,
I hope you're following along. We're ready to start.
The exciting part.
The exciting part. Okay, so this is where did I put that book? Let's just have a look back at that book, so that test. So I'm going to do the middle step here. I'm going to put the light blue marker, a little bit of the darker colour on, then I'm going to come and put watercolour. I might even put some black in the flowers as well. So when I did this example, I actually had mapped out where the flowers were in the pencil first. I'm not going to do that today. No. I'm just going to go straight for it, and I am going to, as I said, I'm going to draw more roses than there really are. So I'm going to draw these roses and then maybe another one in here, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so here we go. So I've got to scale down what I did on the test through here. This is the fun bit, okay? And so if you're using this photo, you could decide, because it's just the one colour, you could decide to make the cup pink or yellow or orange, whatever colour you want. Okay, I'm going to do a little one through here. And you can see when I'm doing these strokes, I'm not trying to do these perfect rows. I'm just putting some marks on. I'm intentionally doing this quite loose to show you that the overall principle is the important thing and how we are combining these materials. And then on the side through here, maybe another one through there. That'll do, something through there. I often interpret the pattern when I do teacups. So we're now going 4. So that was then, see, I love doing these down the side. You realise how many different colours I'm using. So this is, I should know this one by heart, 164. And then they come, and this is the 449. By the way, this is a really nice little Faber-Castell fountain pen I'm using today.
Would you be able to hold up the example flowers again for us, just quickly?
The example, hold up.
Yeah, just hold it towards me.
Okay, here we go. That gives me a chance to have a break. Sarah, do you know what this fountain pen name is called that I'm using, or not?
It's the loom.
The loom. Okay.
So you can't see this, but can you remember where they are? So we're doing obviously the middle.
The middle one.
Yeah.
So I'm using the light marker, the dark marker, a little bit of black, and then I'm putting watercolour over the top. You can also combine it a little bit too. You could try this step and then do the watercolour pencil, do a little bit of watercolour pencil over the top as well. But today's all about the markers. Okay?
Awesome. Yep.
Good? Look at that. Zoom in. Okay. It's so cool having Matt here doing all this.
We've got quite a few people chiming in saying how helpful the demonstration's been, and very clear as always.
Oh, okay. Thank you. It's kind of strange. I can't see you all there, but I know you're there. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And so some of you have actually sketched the pink version of this cup too, haven't you? Some of you, yes, I think. This is actually called Charlotte Blue by Christina Ray, which is an Australian brand of teacups, Chinaware. Okay, what am I doing? Concentrate. How much of this colour am I going to put down? This is the thing. How much did I put down in my test? I varied it. It's fine. We'll do. We'll risk it, okay? That's why I love using these markers, because I'm just like, the results are always unexpected. Okay, so come through here. And then I'll put some. Sometimes I look at this, sometimes I look at that. And as I come and put some, I'll do that, fine. Oh, this is, yes, much easier to control sometimes. I'm going to come and put a couple of these in. And then this is where I'm just wondering, do I come and put some black in? The black is a bit strong. Did I? Yeah, I think I will, just because it's kind of more risk-taking. I'll come and put just a little bit of black in here to darken some of those leaves. And I think, are we getting ready to put paint over? So this is the last step. So this is what I had done as a test run. So you can see this looks very weird at the moment, that being kind of apricot rather than grey, but you'll see when I add the watercolour. And I've used much stronger lines with the darker blue than I did with the test case. So, you know, let's come and just add a little bit more. Okay, so now I put a little bit of black in, didn't I? That's 199. Now we're going to come and add watercolour to the flowers. So I'm going to use a 6 brush, I think, for this. A little bit finer, so this is a round brush. And we are using, I've got to bring that back down, Matt, don't I, so you can see.
Just a little bit, yep, that's in.
Can you see this mixing well?
That's the first three, maybe just
Okay, you can still see this?
Yep.
I could also move it across. Okay, I always have so many things going. Okay, so I'm going to come and, so this finer brush will help me control the water a little bit because we don't want too much water. So this is using this colour through here. This is the really exciting part now. I get very excited when you start mixing, putting the watercolour over. And at this point too, I'm as much looking at this, like I've got to disconnect myself a little bit from that and just make sure I'm focusing on the amount of paint and water as I come and put this. On silent, she must be concentrating. Just okay, so I'm just kind of touching things a little bit. We'll just leave that for a moment, and then I am going to come and mix up some of that grey colour. So I'm picking up a lot of this. You can see how much I am picking up. I want to make sure I've got plenty in there. I don't have to redo it. I don't know, you counting? How many times have I picked up paint? Am I at 10 yet? Okay.
It's past 10 now.
Okay, good. Okay, now some of the blue. So one of the things, and I find I need more water with these as well. So it's been really, really fun to use completely different watercolour than what I'm used to. Now,
I've got a question here. I think more so for Sarah, this one. Susan wants to know what are the differences between these markers and the Albert Dürer markers?
Yeah, okay, that's a very good question. So one of the key differences is the nib itself. So the Goldfaber Aqua Dual Marker has a fine liner nib on one side and then the brush nib on the other. The Albert Dürer one actually has a fibre tip bullet nib on the other side, so it's a bit thicker. One of the other key differences is the Albert Dürer is highly pigmented water-based ink, so that is your light, fast alternative, while the Goldfaber is water-based dye. Colour-wise, Goldfaber, we actually have 60 colours, single colours available. The Albert Dürer only has 30 at this point.
Okay, yes. And I've used both of them. When I use the Albert Dürer, I find them very heavily pigmented. I mean, these have got a lot of colour in them too, but I find that I put them down and I move them around on the page a lot more. So they're really fun, and they're a thicker barrel as well. And they relate more closely, if you're used to the Albert Dürer watercolour pencils, they're just the colours and everything. Okay, Sarah's is she going to go and see if she can grab one? Here we go. Okay, here we go. So that's the size of the. Do you want me to hold it up?
Hold
it up. Yeah. Hold it up. Here we go. So that's the size of that, and these are is it the same colour? Dark chrome yellow.
That was a coincidence.
It is. Okay, so we have two colours in the same, and we're going to go on a little tangent here. So you can see the difference between mid-mixing. At least I wasn't in mid-wash. Okay. You'd be in trouble, Matt, if you interrupted me mid-wash.
No, I knew exactly what I was doing, obviously.
Okay, so this is a chance for people to, if you're sketching along, to catch up with me as well. So, okay, so this is the, I've never done this comparison actually, so this is really cool. So this is dark chrome yellow.
Liz, you're in your element right now, aren't you?
Yeah, well, you can tell. I get excited. I get so the difference in the bullet point versus the fine point. I'm rather partial to this point. It's very good. So we'll turn to the other side. Ooh, okay, so that's a bit wetter. And then when this is going to throw me if I try and to add water to it. Okay, this is just complete tangent here. But these are light fast.
Correct.
So you can see that's moving more. So this is the same colour. You can see that's moving a lot more that's what I found when I was using them. I used them for about a month last year, and I would put a little bit of colour and then move it around. So I love both of them. The Goldfaber Aqua are thinner, so it means I can carry more with me. So I can carry, so this is how many I carry around with me. I'd only be able to fit half as many of the Albert Dürer, so there you go. Okay, now I just splashed paint on myself. Anyway, now where were we?
Back to the stream.
Back to the stream, okay. It's totally on you, Matt. I blame Matt for everything. Okay, here we go.
That's why I'm here.
Okay, so what did we do? We mixed up, can you remember where we were? So I mixed up like 10 strokes of this yellow colour and then 10 strokes of the blue, maybe not quite as 10. And I've got this grey wash through here. I might add a little bit more water. So this is good. It's allowed everything to settle a little bit. Allow this to dry. So actually, Matt is the legend because this has actually dried any of that water there.
Before, I know exactly what I'm doing, Liz.
Complete fluke, but anyway. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to come and put the grey over this apricot, which you all think looks very strange. Okay, that's a bit too wet. So this whole thing about the amount of water is just something that you gain by experience. So I'm blotting my brush as I'm going. Okay, so through there. And this is the most exciting part of everything, is when I put shadow wash and kind of potentially destroy what I do. Destroy in the best possible way. Disturb, create magic. Okay, so I just realised I haven't actually done the gold edging yet, have I? Okay. So you can see this is gonna merge and create magic. Okay, here we go. So you thought all of that wash that I mixed up, it's all gone now. Okay, so we're going to get some lovely blue bleeding in here, and we're going to come through here and hopefully pick that up. And then I'm going to come and I'm doing everything in strange orders today. Okay, so I haven't put watercolor over the tea yet, so I'm mixing up those two colours. So I'm just going to come through. And look, when I do teacup sketches, I often just work in different ways. It's a controlled subject matter, so I can mix it up. So this is definitely a different order than normal. I would do the tea there, and then there's going back to the smaller brush. Interesting to see that. I am going to come and just put some of this colour. Now there is gold paint in this set, but I prefer to just use the yellow ochre. And I mean, this is about done now. Through here. A little bit through there as well. And I'm going to kind of stop because it's about as much as I can do until it just settles and see what happens. So you can see through here, this is done some really interesting things. This is why I like combining the watercolour and the Goldfaber Aqua. They do really interesting things. In fact, I said I was going to stop, but I keep going. Okay. I'm going to just adjust the shadow shape down a bit more and start destroying. Creating magic with this flower. Okay. Questions? There we go. Can you follow that?
Yeah, I think everyone is following along. Sandra said it looks beautiful. What teacup number do you reckon this is? How many teacups have you drawn now? Painted and sketched?
So that's what we're saying. Over 1,000, definitely.
Well over 1,000.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
How many times have I sketched this cup? Well, I've done about 3 times in the last day, so here you go. And just to show you, every time I do, even though I might be using the same colours and the same techniques, every time I do the cup, it'll look slightly different. So is that on screen? Yep. This is another version that I did. So what's kind of interesting, so you know, backruns and blossoms and cauliflower effects, whatever you want to call it, is something that some watercolourists don't like, but I love it. And I find that I get very unique blooms, blossoms, whatever, when I combine my usual watercolour techniques with the Goldfaber. So you can see that this is creating interesting technique through in this one. You can see through here I actually was able to get the gold to bleed into that shadow shape through here. See how this is all melding together. There's a bit more black in this one. But yeah, so every time I do it, it comes out different.
I think that's the beauty of it though, right?
Exactly, exactly. And then this is the version I did last night. So it's also different again.
So the same techniques as what you've just done.
Just done, exactly the same.
Different look.
We're going. So I just want to, while we wait for that, we just wrap up. How are we going time-wise? You're still here, following along?
Yeah, everyone's still here.
Good, good. Okay, so just want to show you a few more other examples as we wrap up. So if you've got any more questions, fire them into the chat now. So as I said, this is another version again. So I said I've done quite a, so this is another version. So there you go, there's 4 versions, all using the same colours. So let me get the blue cup out of the way now. So this is now just showing you how I combine these markers and watercolour and even colour pencils as well. So I didn't end up using the watercolour pencils on that demo, but I do use them sometimes. So you can see on this particular cup that it's using the same techniques. This is an earthenware type, not a floral cup. So you can see how I'm drawing all of the pattern with different colour markers down the side. And then for some reason I then felt like I wanted pale blue watercolour pencil over the top. So I did that. And then this is one with a patterned background. So I am putting the pattern in. You can see I'm doing roses with pink, and the pink will explode and do a whole lot of other things as well. So through here, and we also had earlier, I showed you another example of these cups. So this is a version using my my watercolour, my artist grade watercolour. So you can see that then this watercolour will give me more granulation to add another layer of texture to it. And then this one here as well is another version where you can see my usual watercolour mixing with it, but you can see how the explosion of the pink, like all this kind of stuff makes me very happy, this kind of explosion. So last thing, just want to show you is then how I use these markers in a context of some urban sketching, which is what I'm known for. So I really love markers for doing value studies or just shape studies as well. So this is using this blue violet, which is a beautiful colour. This one is beautiful, beautiful colour, very strong, but fantastic for doing these abstract shapes. This is just recording shadow shapes as well. So really great, and I love the 2 tips to be able to do some of the fine details as well. And then here is, this is the Sydney Hospital building. So I have used on this particular sketch, once again, I have some of that dark violet. I've got a different green as well, and I also like using that sand. No, that's apricot. Sand. There, the sand colour underneath, a bit of yellow through here, under here. So there, I like using it in a subtle way, or then for features as well as I'm going. And then the last example is then doing something crazy with, which is also what I like doing. So this is the Sydney Opera House, And you can see this, I think this sketch was about a 10-minute sketch, very quickly picked up some markers. So this is using this wonderful magenta bright, which we kind of worked out earlier was a bit crazy. You can see I'm also using the sand, the pale blue through here. And the other really favourite colour that I love. So I often use lavender light for shadows as well. So that is what I put down all of these quick markers, took a photo, and then this is then when I put watercolour over the top, and that magenta went wild. I also drew over with ink. That magenta is just, you know, bled through here, down here, through here, and ended up with a crazy result, which I absolutely love. So that's also where these markers, just endless possibilities, so much fun to use. So any more questions?
So far we've had a lot of people come through and just say how much fun they've had on the workshop, and thank you so much for this lesson. It's been really easy to follow. So yeah, I think it's just more people just saying thank you so much for what you've done. So
good. It's been fantastic to do this. So Sarah, anything you want to add?
I'll just add, for anyone that's wondering, there's more tutorials on our website as well if you're inspired and ready to get into it and try out some more. If you've got any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to us as well. I'm sure we will be able to help you. We will also pass questions on to Liz if you have any specifically for her.
Yes, and I'd love to see what you've done if you've been following along, or if you're doing this afterwards as well. So tag Faber-Castell Australia, particularly on Instagram. If you want to tag me on Instagram, I'm Liz Steele Art as well. I'd love to see it. Anything else we need to do before wrapping up? Otherwise, thank you so much for being part of this. As you can see, I have a lot of fun. I love mixing medias. I love these markers so much. They've just created a whole new dimension to my sketching, whether teacup sketching or urban sketching. And I hope you have as much fun as I have, and you'll give them a try. Thanks.